about nothing. Two morons are talking. They both are really funny.
Good idea.
They just go with the flow. It's the Hershey and Keegs show.
Welcome to Hershey and the Keegs Show, starring pitcher Mark Hirschman and his personal catcher, Mike Keegan. Every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. live from the Governor's Comedy Club radio studio. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks so much for listening. Well, it is Tuesday night, 9 p.m., back to our original time. Get your nuts up, get your butts up, and we're going to have a podcast. How about that, Mark?
I didn't even know if that's what I felt, but I felt my nuts and my butts were up.
I know I did that for you.
Thank you for that.
No problem. Well, welcome back to Tuesday night at 9, our original regular time.
And I see you're wearing a hat that you haven't worn in a while. That's for people who don't remember episode 23, 9/11 p.m. Can you tell us, remind everyone what that hat was and how the shakedown came to come to pass for that?
Well, I was giving it to it when I was discharged from the Marine Corps.
Right. That's right.
No.
Is that when you walked in and they said that you had flat feet and an uncomfortable discharge that was not going to let you in? So
when I went into the recruiting office and they're like, no, this was swindled to me at an OAR concert.
This is one of my favorite stories. So you're at Jones Beach with it's you, Carla, and another man and his girlfriend.
My cousin and his girlfriend at the time, now fiance.
Yeah. So you're there. You're outside. You're having a couple of subs, having a couple of beers,
a couple of
you're
hard
happy.
seltzers.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And we're feeling good. We're about to go into the concert to see OAR, our favorite band.
Everyone, listen, we don't have to explain who they are. Everyone knows who OAR
Everybody
is.
knows who they are and their keyboard player.
Yep.
So we're feeling good, ready to go in the show, and over walks this grizzled veteran, and he goes, "Hey boys, how are you? Hey sir, how are you? Thanks for your service.
Yeah.
Hey, either of you guys have any family members that served in the military?" And my cousin and I, our grandfather, United States Army, World War II.
Yeah.
Everybody in that parking lot had somebody in the military.
Everyone.
Easy marks though, like me and my cousin.
And the truth is, even if you don't, you're going to say you do because you don't want to seem like a fucking commie.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want exactly. They're scouting us out for communism.
Of course.
So I go, yeah, sure. Our grandfather, World War II. And he goes, hey. He's got these hats.
Yeah.
Gives me a hat, gives my cousin a hat. I'm like, wow, just because my grandfather was in the war?
He presents them with hats. There's no talk of financial exchange whatsoever. It's just he's giving you, and this is Peter Matthew. Who is it?
No, it's my cousin Tim Rollins.
Tim Rollins. Okay, all right.
Good kid.
Yeah.
Good kid, good egg.
Yeah.
And now he starts chatting. He's chatting the ladies up. Hey, what you two could do better than these guys. Hey,
knucklehead. Hey, knucklehead.
Hey, I hope you like those hats.
Yeah.
$20 a piece. How about that? Now,
it's a given.
He already negged us in front of our girlfriends.
Right. A couple of nuggies.
And now we don't want to feel like cheap,
Flatfoot.
We don't want to feel like cheap communists, so we got to buy these military hats.
Right.
So we go, hey, here's $20, sir. And he snuck off into the night, and we're $20 into a $400 night.
So this guy, while he's usually outside of King Kong and Levittown handing out little red poppies for $1, he has to sell 600 of them to make any money back.
Yeah.
He scored that night.
Oh, dude, the guy was a pro. You couldn't have found two easier marks than me and my cousin. They were with our girlfriends.
Yeah.
Couple drinks in.
Subway sandwiches.
Obvious patriots.
Patriots.
We have the American flags on
our
you're
cars, trumped out.
Obviously.
You have FJB on your car.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah. Right.
And then he knew exactly who he was dealing with.
He knew.
All right, there you go.
Done.
Guy made an easy $40.
Just like that.
Probably got into the concert for free.
So listen, the truth is this though: if it wasn't you two guys, he probably had a bag full of hats that he sold.
Oh yeah.
He probably he probably netted a good 800 that night.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah. 100%. Absolutely. He did well.
And
he did well because it's all Long Island bros.
That's
lacrosse players. And
we're all
we're Long Island, South Shore, Long Island. We're all Trump people. Of course, the guy's gonna make money selling military hats.
Right.
I wear it now so people think I was in the military.
Right.
though.
The
A little stolen
only
valor.
3 Democrats that were there didn't buy the hats.
Exactly, yeah.
But everybody else at
Carla
Palm Beach-
and the other 2 Democrats.
That's right. That's amazing.
But like I wore this hat the other night. Remember we were talking. I don't think we mentioned it last week. Our buddy Joe Malonis.
Oh yes, I felt badly, and you and I talked right after the show that, and I want to hear about that experience. But Joe Milonis, who is a veteran of is it Army or
Army, United States Army,
an Army veteran, combat warrior, the whole thing.
Two or 3 tours in Iraq. He was in Saddam Hussein's palace. Took it over.
He took it over single-handedly, and generally a good guy. I mean, I don't know him that well. I know him through the community a little bit, but he's a good buddy of yours, and I was really happy to see that you went to support him at this wonderful event. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I was supposed to have a show and it got canceled, so I had nothing to do.
Yeah, perfect. That's the kind of inspiration and support that we want to hear today.
No, I really wanted to go. I was bummed out when I had this show. And it was supposed to be a Firehouse show that I was producing.
Oh, yeah.
Ended up getting canceled. So I'm like, dude, I'm going to Joe's fight. He was fighting at the theater at Madison Square Garden.
In Manhattan.
In Manhattan.
In the theater.
In the theater at the Garden.
So this is not to be taken lightly. This is a big deal.
It was a big deal. Like they had, it was full melt. So it was all first responders. It was mostly NYPD, FDNY, but they had some military. He was like the only Army guy there.
Sure.
But it was all first responders and
the money going to Tunnels of Towers, is that correct?
Tunnels of Towers, where the money was going. They had legit sponsors, like Ford was sponsoring it, and
good.
And the place they filled the room up really nicely,
packed it up.
They had ring announcers, they had card girls,
right?
And
so Jimmy Buffett was there. What's the guy's name?
Jimmy Buffett was
what,
no.
What is the
Michael
guy's name?
Buffer? It wasn't, dude. It was a black guy who sounded just like Michael Buffer.
Okay, so
like
he was
Tyrone Buffer.
Oh wow, Tyrone Buffer was there. Okay, that's the distant cousin. Yeah,
but the guy was an awesome
ring announcer. Yeah,
and he. It was a really cool event. Joe was the second fight, so
it was a boxing match, is what you're saying.
Match, yeah. I don't know why I did this.
Yeah,
and, but yeah, it was a boxing match. Joe was the second fight in, and I ended up bringing Juliana.
I saw that. I loved it.
I was gonna go Carla, and then Carla ended up getting a show. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going. I think Juliana will enjoy it. She likes. She likes karate,
violence and aggression,
violence.
And
she's a tiny little animal.
Right. Right.
So she's gonna like it.
Well, that's what they call her, the Rugrat.
Exactly. That's exactly why we call her the Rugrat.
Yep.
And I go, do you know what boxing is? She goes, yeah, that's when you fight people. She's like, you want me to do it? I'm like, no, we're gonna go
someday. You might.
We're gonna go.
Yeah.
And watch it because my friend's doing it. She enjoyed it because she knows Joe and to watch him.
Yeah.
And Joe's girlfriend was there with her son, so we all got to hang out with each other for a bit.
Sure.
Went into it. Joe was the second fight, and he did well. He was fighting this giant fella.
Yeah. You can just, that's fine. Yeah.
No, he's fighting a big black guy. A big black guy who was like, Joe's a big boy. This guy was towering over Joe.
And this, you could tell that this was, we know for a fact that it was Joe Milonis' first rodeo, but we don't think it was this fella's first rodeo.
No, it was not his first rodeo.
Which makes it more amazing that Milonis, how many rounds was it?
3 rounds.
3 rounds, did not get knocked out. He lost on a decision, you told me?
Yeah, the first round he slipped. He didn't even get knocked down. Yeah. He went down for a little bit.
Well, because they're wearing different shoes and shit like that.
And the black people have the extra ligament in their knees, I think.
Okay, Jesus Christ almighty.
The grease man.
No, that's not what happened. Okay.
No, but but Joe, he took a little spill in the first round. He got a little knocked around in the first round.
Yeah.
Second round, I would say, and I watched the fight over because there's video of it on the internet now.
Yeah.
Second round, I would give to Joe. Joe was really getting in there.
Joe, that's unreal.
He was getting in there. He was getting body shots in.
Couple of kidney punches.
Third round kind of could have went either way, but it was a unanimous decision that the Joe.
Hey, listen.
He didn't get knocked out. The guy was twice his size.
There's no shame in that game.
No. And, Joe's been boxing. He's boxed. He's been on Golden Gloves.
Yeah.
He
pound for pound though he did great. Pound for pound
he did really well. And, he didn't get murdered. I was sending him memes all day of like Apollo Creed dying.
Oh, he didn't die.
He didn't die.
Mick didn't throw in the towel, or Rocco didn't throw in the towel.
And Terry Crews didn't. Or who was the Louis Gossett Jr. Right?
What's the Louis Gossett Jr.?
Wasn't. No?
In the Rocky movie?
Yeah, it wasn't Gossett Jr. who threw the towel in?
Just because he's a bald black guy?
Is
that the only one you know? Or are you also going to say Delroy Lindo? or Ving Rhames.
thought it was-
Is that your whole encyclopedia of bald black men?
It was either
That's
Michael
it?
Clark Duncan,
Right, Ving
or
Rhames, Delroy Lindo, or Louis Gossett. No,
I'm telling you, that was not.
It
Louis
wasn't.
Gossett,
No,
the
it
officer
wasn't.
and a gentleman.
no, it
All
wasn't. It wasn't. Okay,
Lou
good.
Gossett Jr.'s here.
No.
Oh.
So so we had last week. The Downey thing.
I wore this hat so people thought that I was in the military.
I love that.
I was trying to get free
I love that you're a
concessions.
full fraud. I love
Yeah,
that. I love that. I love that Mylonas did that. And I love that he fought for our country. And he did this to raise money for Tunnel for Towers. And just amazing. Good job, Joe. We're super proud of you. And proud of you that you and the Muskrat was there.
Little Muskrat had a good time.
Yeah, awesome. So we wanted to get that out of the way. A couple of other quick housekeeping things before we hopefully pull up our guest. We're going to pull up our guest either via Zoom or call. We're not sure just yet, but I don't want to be remiss. A very big thing happened in the family, the Herschy and the Keegs family this week. Tony's better be prepared to talk about it, but Tony's daughter Sam, not to be confused with his friend Sab, his daughter Samantha. Samantha's team won a very, very big prestigious championship this week.
Hell yeah.
And Tony, in his usual humility, I don't even know if he talked about it on his own podcast. Not that anyone was listening anyway, but the point is, Tone, can you just tell us how it felt, how proud Sam was, and how you were of Sam and
amazing.
her team the other day?
Let me point out to you that I did not talk about it on my show.
No, that's
Well, because we didn't win any championship. All I did was post a team photo. That's all I did.
No, wait a second. You
They
posted,
successfully took a photo.
which is an accomplishment with a group that we're having with kids with different afflictions. That you got them all in one photo together without people darting off or anything like that.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
Take
great.
that win any day.
That was a victory.
It was the end of our season, and we took a team photo, and I posted it. And
no,
there
but
you go.
oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ Almighty! I could have sworn that you posted.
They're all winners.
Exactly. They all got a medal.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I could have sworn you posted a picture and then there was it said 2024.
Right, yeah.
What did it say?
Team.
It's right. It said 2024
That was it?
Braves match speak with Challenger Baseball.
Oh,
He's probably so challenging. He thought it said champion.
no, but because usually when someone posts a picture like that, it usually reflects some sort of a victory of some.
Or it's somebody who's proud of his child's team that they
Listen,
finished the season.
excuse me. I've been to the games, man. I know
have.
how it.
Thank you for
I know
that.
how awesome it was.
Yeah.
So I thought that you guys took down some sort of a big championship.
Sure. Comac showed up with their special needs team. Only 5 of them were there. So
See?
Losers.
Boo,
What was
Comac.
your fucking problem?
Boo, Comac special needs.
What was your problem, idiots?
I mean, I appreciate if we did win something. I
Yeah.
appreciate the sentiment that you would let me talk about it.
Shame on you, Comac. We had 11, you had 5.
That's right.
We're
That's mo-
posting a picture.
that's more.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't a basketball game, Comac. Yeah. Tony, they had to have
You should be ashamed of yourself, Comac special needs.
Tony's team had to help them out with players. They were so short.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, well, that you know that I do take a lot of pride in prepping for the show, and obviously I fell a little tiny
Hey.
drop short there.
Hey, you miss
Yeah.
all the shots you don't take, right?
But you know what?
That was good.
Listen, anytime we can get an opportunity to highlight what Tony does, what Samantha does, what Samantha does,
what Sab does.
There's the one kid who I loved who talks a lot all the time. That one kid who I think he was playing third last year. A big kid, I can't remember his name, and he was chatting. And I thought he was very impressive. Just in general, it's a wonderful thing.
Mongo.
If anyone hasn't, I kept on saying telegram for Mongo. For anyone who hasn't seen one of these games, if you go and you don't shed a tear, you're not really there.
Yeah.
So kudos to Sam and Seb and Tony.
Congratulations on a year.
Yeah, on just
on a season.
just-
We had a great
and-
time.
yeah.
There you go.
Success.
Is the season over? I know that I went like in the spring last time, I think. So is this the spring season that was over, or what was?
The season is over. However,
Yes.
there is a big tournament this Saturday. It's an all-day affair with teams from all over the island.
and
come.
where's that?
It's in East Meadow,
Really?
Whoa!
That's where Little League field?
right there on Merritt.
What
Yeah,
time?
yeah.
That's,
I think it's 9.
you know what? That's a stone's throw from my house. Mark, if you're available, let's go.
Listen, Mikey,
I will go.
I know it's going to happen, but I'll make a notation of this because it's important. And tournament, like multiple games, is happening. Is that what's going to happen? Okay.
And there will be trophies and a winner.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
So then next Tuesday we can
that's
announce a champion.
That Tony's team came in 6th. Yeah.
I won't
All right.
post any pictures.
Comac came
okay.
in.
Well,
11th, and
that
there were
was a
10
little
teams.
embarrassing, but it was adorable at the same time.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it
Yeah.
was.
Well, speaking of East
I will
Meadow,
go 9 o'clock. East Meadow.
Speaking of East Meadow, so the next guest that we're having, last week we had a celebrity. We had Kevin Downey Jr.,
right.
America's Got Talent, headlining comic.
Queer Eye for the Straight
Queer
Guy.
Eye for the Straight Guy, and he was also on that show.
Yeah, he was
as well.
What was the show called? So I don't even remember.
Who knows? But this is a little bit different, and this is not something that we prototypically do where we just bring on. You think this is an average person, right? An
You would
average
think
person,
so.
a friend.
You'd think it's just a...
Well, it's not. It's not just a friend. This is someone that, and it's not the first time that it's happened. Even though Mike and I know each other for only about 13 years or so, this is a person who I've been very close friends with for about 20 years, but Mike knows him since he's a little boy,
Yeah.
okay, through an East Meadow connection. This is
East Meadow boys.
a guy who's lived in East Meadow for many years, and he's a very dear friend of mine, and as we bring him on now and we talk about the past year of his life, you'll understand why we're having him on as a guest, because we're all about encouragement and good stories and feel good stories and relationships.
We like to
and
feel good
friendship.
all the time.
Feel good. And with no further ado, we're going to hopefully pop up via Zoom, and if there's any issue, we're going to just redirect to a phone call in a couple of minutes because Tony's been having some technical difficulties. But we're going to punch up my very, very dear friend Mike Ciampi and Keegan's buddy also. Mikey, can you hear us, pal?
Oh, it's working.
Wow. Is it
Look at
working,
this.
Tony?
Tony looks amazed.
I think it's working.
Okay. So if anyone,
Look on
anyone is
Tony's, the
watching,
shocked look on Tony's face.
if anyone is watching and anyone can comment,
Sorry, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah, take
it's
that
going
call,
there.
Tom.
Yeah, it's looking good. So
All
you
right.
can see us, you can hear us, Mikey. All right,
All right.
buddy.
What's going
Look at
on,
you.
brother?
Look at you, not wear. I don't see you that often with glasses. Are we getting a special non-glasses Mike Ciampi today?
Gotcha.
Okay, for reflection purposes. I gotcha.
When I'm doing like computer stuff, I'm always without the eyeglasses. Okay. Give me a second. All right, 516. Okay.
3990.
Everybody's going to be calling now.
Oh my God, the lines are going to be ringing off the hook now.
I hear it. I hear a ring.
I hear it ringing.
Steve
All right.
Summers?
I can hear it.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but lower his computer. Tell him to lower his computer.
Lower your computer, Mikey, okay? Lower the audio on your computer.
Okay.
You got that? Well, you want to eliminate the feedback?
Okay, we're all mute now.
Okay.
I
All
think
right.
that's
Can you
good
hear me?
now.
Yeah. We're good, Tony.
Yeah. I think
Yep.
you're-
Okay, we're
All
good.
right, we're good.
All right. Thanks for bearing with us, everybody.
Yeah, that wasn't bad at all.
It wasn't bad. It was pretty
Listen,
seamless.
I expected much worse.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can hear us, you can see us, everything is good, right?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. All right. So certainly before we were going to get to the brass tacks and the meat and nuts of this whole thing, I just want to reflect back for a second to the day that you and I, how we met many, many years ago. I think it was around 2001. 2001. Okay. It was through a mutual friend. It was at a house in Levittown. It was actually down the block from where I currently live. And we were at a backyard barbecue, and it was a whole bunch of people. And for some reason, we had never met before, but we found a very common ground, and we enjoyed each other's company very much. And what do you think that was that day? Well, how do you think that came about?
I think the common bond was Marlboro Lights and beer.
Yeah, so we were at like as white trash of a Levittown party where there were kids walking around picking up juice boxes and cigarette butts.
Yeah, so the story goes, and this is one of the oldest. Mark and I laugh about this still to this day, 20 years later, 25 years later. There was these. It seemed like shoeless kids running everywhere. It was the whitest, trashiest party ever, kids party.
Yes,
and it looked like there was kids literally looked like they were smoking Marlboro Reds, and they were just taking juice. Mark was drinking a juice box because Mark's a child.
That's right.
He likes a juice box.
Of
He
course.
loves them.
The kid actually took the juice box from Mark's hand and just started slurping it right in front of Mark. and it was like, you're looking at him like, what? And that's basically how me and Mark met.
That sounds
like
very Mark Hirschman.
A piece of white trash that was drinking his juice box.
And then
a couple of weeks later, we went to Ozfest in New Jersey.
Right.
Ooh, PNC Bank Arts Center?
We went to PNC Garden Arts Center.
I was there.
In Ozfest. And
Mark, during Slipknot, Mark slipped out. He called Stacy in the corner. Stacy, it's Bedlam here. It's Bedlam. I can't believe what's going on here. People are throwing mud. People are diving on the stage. It was wild.
I had never been in an environment that crazy before. There were people throwing mud, and there were women walking around with paint on their breasts, and there were people having sexual favors in the bushes, and it was bad.
That's where we met, Mark.
Yes.
No, I was there. I was at that concert. I remember Papa Roach was on stage, and they were flinging mud at the stage.
So,
so
if you remember, it was Papa Roach, Slipknot, Marilyn Manson,
Disturbed, Black Sabbath was there, right?
Phenomenal. Yeah. Phenomenal. Who else?
So, the funny part of the story, right behind me and Mark were these two topless girls.
Yeah.
They're probably like, they were probably like 20 years old.
Yeah.
At the time, I guess you and I were like 30, I guess.
Yeah,
Mark?
early 30 maybe, yeah.
Right? So they were behind us in whatever, small talk, and the girls were like, oh, you must be here to see Black Sabbath.
That's right.
We looked that old.
And I don't remember who said it, but it was either Ciampi or another friend of ours, this guy Mike D. Turner. He said, "Don't look now, but there's a pair of thumbs sticking in the back of your head." And
Mike D.
By thumbs he meant that there was a well-endowed woman.
Yeah, it was
that
some nippies.
Yeah, it was some silver dollars, and
I was either 16 or 17, but I was there at the same exact concert.
Yeah, that's about right.
Younger, yeah.
That's about right. Tony, I want to make sure because I hear a little feedback from Mike.
They're not. The viewers are not getting that.
They're not getting the feedback at all, so that's good. So everyone hears everything fine.
Yep.
Okay, wonderful.
Great.
So basically, a friendship was born, and certainly, not that common. Mike is a diehard Yankee fan like me, and a Jet fan like me, and a family guy, and he's got 4 children, and we found the same stupidity to be funny to the point where we would very often in the group of 8 that we were with, Mike and I would find ourselves getting disciplined and yelled at from time to time. What was the terminology that we used to feel like we were walking on? What, Mike?
Eggshells.
Eggshells. We always felt like we were walking on eggshells because we were getting in trouble for the stupidest nonsense.
Yeah.
Antics, total antics.
I'm sure Stacy was none too pleased with your...
No, and it wasn't just Stacy. It was pretty much every female in the group thought that our stupid shit was too stupid.
Yeah.
Now, just circling back for a second, Mikey, you remember Keegan as a kid, right? As a young kid?
Yeah, I mean, because my brother-in-law Joseph, we went to East Meadow High School together.
Yeah, I went to junior high, high school.
So you guys know each other for even longer then. You were 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
So the truth is there was a destiny to be meant to be on this show eventually.
For all of us to come together.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do the show.
So we're gonna circle back to some more Mark and Mike and stuff memories, but
you say Mark and Mike?
Mark and Mindy, yeah. Nanu. Yeah. We're going to circle back, but really, my inspiration for wanting to have Mike on is because a couple of reasons. It's Mike's show and it's my show. We can do the fuck we want. number one. And number two, for those who don't know, and I certainly posted a lot about it and whatnot, but the fact that Mike is here right now and he's talking to us and he's well and he's doing okay is that's always a miracle.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a daily miracle that you survived your 11 bouts of COVID, your grand mal seizure and a Taco Bell heading into a heart attack that you were having. Yeah. So we're very blessed and we love that we have you here. On a real serious note, without mentioning the name, I don't think it's important if I do or don't, but Mike Ciampi has been a legendary school teacher for the New York City Board of Ed for, is it 29 years now, Mike? How many?
26 and change.
26 and change. And on the first day of school this year, Mike was starting his 27th year or whatever the case may be, and he had an episode walking into the building for the first day of school. He was not feeling well, and Mike, I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, so it was day after Labor Day. First day of school, pulled up. It's about from where I parked. It's about my usual 10-minute walk to the building. As soon as I got out of the car, I knew something was wrong. I felt very dizzy, and I started walking, and then I started having this tremendous pain in my left arm and vertigo. And I was trying to keep my balance, and the whole time just like, all right, just get to the building, get to the building, get to the building. I ran into a couple of colleagues of mine, this girl Michelle and this guy Frank. And Michelle right away knew, because Michelle and I are both diehard Islanders fans. We always talk in the mornings, blah, blah, this and that. And she knew right away that something was wrong, and she came over to me, and I said, Michelle, I'm not feeling well. I feel like I'm gonna collapse. So her and Frank helped me to the front steps, and I barely made it to the front steps, and I just kind of fell onto the steps, and that was it. And then Michelle called 911, and the ambulance, EMS came from Community Hospital, which is in Midwood, not too far from the school. And the last thing I remember from that point was I picked up my cell phone and I called my oldest daughter, Eleanor, or I texted her. I don't remember quite what I did. And I said, don't worry. I just want you to let you know I'm being taken to the hospital. I'm not feeling great. And I said, don't tell Stella. Stella's my youngest daughter. She's starting her first day of 8th grade. I said, don't tell James. James is my son who's starting his first day as a teacher at BOCES. I said, don't tell him. Just, let Mom know what's going on, and, I'll stay in touch with you, and that's really it. Next thing I know is 2 weeks later.
Wow.
Honestly. And I was coherent and talking. People are telling me all these stories about the things I was saying and talking in the hospital, in the emergency, and then eventually don't remember anything. I think the trauma just blocked it all out. So what happened was they ran some tests at Community Hospital, and they found out that I had a tear in my aorta. And it was, it was basically so serious to the point that if it wasn't going to be repaired, I was going to die. Mm-hmm. And they had to make a decision to rush me to, which ended up being Maimonides Hospital in Borough Park, and have an emergency surgery to repair the tear so I could live.
And how many hours did that surgery turn out to be?
Well, so while this was happening, eventually my two oldest daughters got to the hospital. And my brother-in-law, Joe Bascio, I think is listening today.
Absolutely.
He ended up getting to the hospital. I was taken from ambulance from Community to Maimonides. And the funny story is my daughter Eleanor, because she rode with me, she said that our ambulance was driving so fast, I was elevating off the stretcher.
Jesus.
In the ambulance. Got to this hospital, and evidently I made phone calls. I called my mom. I talked to Adrian. I talked to my sister. I made phone calls, and I was talking to people. I was having a conversation with two of my colleagues that came to the hospital to be with my daughters. Don't remember any of it. Don't remember a single word. I even made a Seinfeld joke with the surgeon. the surgeon came over and told me everything he's going to do, and I said to the surgeon, just make sure you don't drop a junior miss inside of me.
Unfucking believable. Funny
I have no
on the
idea
table.
I did any of this. So, like, to answer Mark's question, the surgery was about 12 hours.
Wow.
And, basically they repaired it. But in the process of the surgery, and they said they don't really know whether it happened during the surgery or if it was happened prior to, with everything going on with my heart. I suffered 5 mini strokes.
That's too many.
And
yeah, you haven't even had that many during Taco
well, it
Bell
was crazy
episodes.
because even when I went down the road, when I went for a follow-up months later, the nurse practitioner from the stroke clinic showed me on the CAT scan where the strokes were. There's one. It was wild. Like, she could actually point out exactly where the strokes were.
They say any more than 4 is no good.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
4 is the limit.
So
yeah.
And then I also suffered acute kidney injury, as it was referred to. Not kidney failure, not kidney disease. It was considered a kidney injury. All this was based on somebody loss of oxygen and stuff like that during the surgery and all these things. So I was a mess. Again, no recollection. I was intubated at one point. They had to put a trachea. I had to do a tracheotomy in my neck. I was on dialysis.
Wait, so I'm going to stop you right there. We're going to get back to that, but so where my remembrance of it was, I was at work and I got a Facebook inbox message from Michael's second oldest daughter, Annabelle. Who's a wonderful kid. All of Mike's kids are fantastic kids, and
Thank you.
She. Listen, how do you tell someone's close friend that this is what's happening? But she said, "This is what's going on. This is where we are. I will keep you as updated as possible." And what she proceeded to do, not just for that day, but pretty much every single day for weeks. And geez, I'm sure I was a pain in the ass, I imagine, but you would never know it by the way she handled me. She updated me, and so did.
As if this couldn't get any worse, I have fucking Herschman calling me twice a day.
Herschman.
Yeah.
I mean, really. Talk about depression.
So she was wonderful, and certainly little brother Joseph was as well. And, listen, this is not a thing that a loved one, a friend, a family member could comprehend that easily. And of course, me, who's loaded with questions every single step of my life, of course, I had a trillion of them, but I also had to be somewhat, have some reserve.
Boundaries?
Just because this is the guy's daughter, know, but for a kid who was, I think, 20 at the time, maybe 21, I'm not sure.
Turn 21 next week.
Yeah, so she was 20 at the time, and handle things with such grace and really just incredible. And I'll never.
I'm glad she was able to make this easier for you.
Yeah, she made it easier for me, and this is, of course, everything's about me. Enough of the trig talk, Mike. Okay, no, it was really amazing, and obviously, getting updated was fantastic. And then Mike, it was a couple of weeks before. Originally it was just really your family going, and then obviously Joseph, your parents, Adrian, the kids, and then at some point she had mentioned if you want to come see him, and I was almost like, wow, I don't even know if I can handle this, but I'm gonna handle it. And by that point, Mike, you'd been trached up, and you had been on tubes and feeding tubes.
Yeah, so basically the first week was touch and go. The second week I was starting to slowly make some improvements. And again, I have very little recollection about any of this. I was coming in and out a little bit in that second week, in and out, having a lot of delusions, and I was so drugged up and everything, and whatever it was. But so I had a trach in. Obviously, I was on monitors, and obviously as time went on, a lot of those truths started coming out, but it was still, I was in a diaper. I mean, I was, you know, it was in intensive care the whole time. You had to, you had to wrap up in all the stuff to come in and see me.
You were under such good care, man, because when I went, I was blown away by it.
Amazing.
Which is a good segue if you want to tell the audience. It's funny. Kleiman or Pig Vomit always says, and me and Pig Vomit have been friends for about 18, 20 years. He always says that you have a niche of making everything about you, meaning me, and it's really a terrible trait, I have to say.
My whole thing was like, I want to know what part of Mike's story are you going to make this about you and how you're such a good friend.
It's really it's
coming.
just,
so here we go. It's coming right now.
Coming. It's coming. It's a build-up. But here's the thing, though. But here's the thing. This is not fabricated. It's not bullshit. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I was heroic by any stretch of the imagination, but I did have to go and put on the reverse robe and the thing, and I was sitting there, and I was,
You had to get in an elevator.
I have to get an elevator. I did wait for someone to go on with me. Actually.
Yes, I know.
That's a true story.
Yeah.
And I was sitting.
He
there.
had to go to a hospital. For him to walk into a hospital.
Yeah, it was a big deal, and I was sitting there, and I sat there for like 6-7 hours, and I was there and making small talk and trying to engage someone who wasn't going to correspond back to me.
You're making small talk with Mike, and you're just like, Mike, you have no idea what I just went through.
That's right. Dude, hold on. It took $20 to park. I couldn't find the goddamn place. You drive around forever. Like I had to beg someone to go on the elevator with me. This is a lot. Yeah. All right. Take over, Mikey.
So at this point, I was starting to slowly come out of things. And I opened my eyes, and I see this fucking guy just standing at the end of the bed. That big face, And I'm like, you stop, you're like, all right, is this a dream? And I'm thinking to myself, is this a dream? Why am I dreaming about Mark Hirschman? That's the first thing I think to myself.
It's real.
Great story. Is this heaven? Is Hirschman up here in heaven with me? But I realized, all kidding aside, that it was Mark. He was at the end of the bed, and he saw me. And
naked.
Hey, buddy boy, how you doing, pal? And he's making a conversation with me. And I was going in and out the entire time. In fact, Mark even told me, unbeknownst to me, at one point, Mark got ushered out of the room. Yeah,
we'll talk about that
after.
Had
a little AFib episode.
Yeah.
And Mark was, of all people, Mark had to witness that.
Yes.
So he's in the lobby, all nervous. About,
oh, my God. I was freaking the fuck out.
Mike, do you know how many times I've woke up and Mark is at the end of my
bed? So I'm in and out. But Mark was really good. He kept on playing the Don Mattingly's playoff home run for me on his phone over and over again. Hold on to the rope. Over and over again.
And that's the first thing you remembered.
Wow, that's cool.
First thing I remembered. Mark's the first person that I recall, other than my daughters, that made contact with me. He's the first person.
But the Mattingly raised the roof.
The Mattingly thing was what at first really registered.
That's not fucking amazing.
As a Yankee fan, I like that.
That's incredible.
Mark was having fun with the janitor.
Yes.
I remember that clearly. There was this African-American janitor. Really nice guy.
Great guy.
My dad loved him too.
Great.
Really cool guy. Very matter-of-fact. Very blue-collar. And Mark, of all people, the whole time was busting this guy's balls the entire time.
Oh, my God.
That I remember. I remember you busting this guy's balls, the Don Mattingly home run over and over again.
Was he balding in Rocky?
Small talk about your kids and stuff, but honestly, just you being there, I remember, and from that moment on, I started, realizing people were coming.
That's why I had him on.
All right. So when Mark sent you this script this afternoon,
Mark is the Messiah.
He's a good actor, this guy. Never been in a hospital day in his life.
I'm almost buying this right now. Yeah.
Well, so I just want to say, so that part obviously is amazing and special, but at one point, I was questioning one of the nurses. I'm like, why is that number going up and why is this? And right when that happened, Mike's surgeon came in, and I had already known from Annabelle that they loved this surgeon, that he was straightforward, and he was like, don't worry about it, everything's going to be
Dr.
okay.
Udelman.
Yeah, and he was phenomenal. So he saw me, like I was sitting in the corner of the room, and he's like, hey, just relax, everything's fine. Like, and he's like, stop asking so many questions. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like being nasty. He was being like funny. Like, don't worry, just sit there. You're off work today. Just relax, okay?
Yeah.
So fast forward to about like maybe an hour and a half later. One of the numbers, I don't know if it was his heart rate, but something was going off, and he doesn't remember this happening, but it happened, and he found out later about it, and the machine was beeping, and I didn't say a word. I didn't say a word, and then the next thing you know, one of the nurses comes flying in the room. And then she starts screaming at me, why did you call someone? And I'm like, the surgeon yelled at me.
He told me not to, yeah.
So the next thing you know, another nurse, and there's probably about 8 responders in the room. And I'm just sitting there, and I'm pasty white, okay? And she's like, get out. You have to get out. And I went out, and I did watch as apparently they had to move the way he was sitting, and there was a tube that was clogged, and something was happening to make one of these numbers not okay.
Yeah.
So I had gotten reprimanded for not doing the report on it, and I remember being in the hallway thinking, he's been doing fine every day for weeks. Like, I'm here right now, and I'm going to be here for this. This is going to be the fateful moment, God forbid.
Yeah.
So after that, they calmed him down. They propped him up, and I went in there. And I'm like, buddy, I'm gonna go. And I didn't want to be there anymore because I just and I went. What I did was I went on my phone and I looked up the closest Barstool pizza score like that was in the area because I knew I'm in Brooklyn. There's tons of places, and I found like a 9-3 place, and I went and I just sat and I had a couple of slices of pizza.
Did you go to Forest?
I went to a place called Luigi's.
Oh, Luigi's is very,
I went to Luigi's, and I drove home, and I made sure that I texted both Joseph and Annabelle, like, just let you know, this is what happened. Have you guys heard anything from the hospital today?
Have you ever had Luigi's pizza?
But Joseph and Annabelle had already by that point.
He doesn't remember. You were probably driving him nuts in there.
That's
what happened.
But you know what's funny is that he and he said he hadn't done this, but he would like look at me, and he couldn't really talk that well because he still had stuff in his throat.
Great, yeah.
But he would like give me like a look, like a little wink, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when I left, I said, I love you, and he said, I love you. I heard him say it, and that was it. And I went, and I just fucking ate pizza because I
said, "You're a Jew."
Yeah.
He cried into the sauce.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
But
you know, because
Mark had mentioned the fact of Menominee Hospital. I mean, I have to give a shout out to Menominee. I mean, the care that I got in the hospital was first rate. And the crazy thing about this, and Mark knows this, 6 of the nurses and/or X-ray technicians were Madison High School graduates and former students of mine.
Oh, wow, really?
James Madison High School and Mike's a Legend these were his students of the previous 26 and a half years.
I had former students taking care of me and pawning over me and checking on me. Some of the girls that were in different floors would still come up and see me. It was so, as a teacher, it was a really amazing circle of life moment because, you give and you teach for years when they're kids, and all of a sudden they're giving back to you.
Yeah.
And they did it with and it's funny too because at that point, man, I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, you are vulnerable.
No shame. You didn't care what you looked like, what was happening to your body.
I mean, I had former students wiping my ass.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it came down to. But you don't think of it like that. Like, I think of it now like, oh, shit, Serge actually fucking did that. But the reality was they were nurses.
Yeah.
And they took care of me as the patient.
Thank God you weren't like one of those asshole teachers. Nobody liked it.
Well, that was like, thank God. It was so funny because Dr. Udelman actually asked the one nurse, Serge, he goes, how were you as a student? Serge goes, I really was not that great of a student. I don't think I did too well in this class. And one of the first things I said to Dr. Udelman that I remember As I said, yeah, Serge barely passed my class.
You know what's
But
amazing?
Serge took really good care of me, and Serge also took really good care of my parents.
Yeah.
When they came to visit me one time, he sat with them the whole time and talked with them. He was just a great guy. X-ray technician. There were administrators that I taught their daughters and sons.
Wow.
It was amazing being in Brooklyn that I was able to have contact with professionals in the medical field, in the hospitals that were either parents of former students or former students, and it just made me feel more safe.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
it was pretty amazing.
to me, I remember, Mike, you telling me how great they were to your parents, and certainly one of the most incredible parts of this is that Mike's parents several years ago sadly lost their son Brian Ciampi, Michael's brother, who is, for anyone who's from Lynbrook, Rockville Center area, you say the name Brian Ciampi, Long Island baseball. This is one of the most legendary baseball players from Long Island, bartenders, just great guys, and they had lost their son, so obviously getting this thrown in their face, these years later was just, I can't imagine the angst that they went through, and the fact that these doctors were so special to them is really meaningful. I'm sure to you guys.
You mentioned actually tomorrow would have been my brother's 51st birthday. He was 12.
Happy birthday, Brian Ciampi, the legend.
And a little story about my brother, since I don't exactly remember. It had to happen early on. I'm guessing probably the first day of my being in surgery and being sick, or maybe as soon after. I have this vision, so that my brother was pushing me away.
Wow.
So like he was like telling me, "You're not ready yet. Like you're not coming here yet.
That gave me chills.
There's too much for you to do."
Yeah.
And it's like really powerful moment of spirituality. To have that situation when I have to believe my brother was actually helping keep me alive, like helping me stay where I needed to stay at that moment. That's a really powerful
That's
moment
incredible.
for me.
Powerful.
And I tell my parents that, and they, it really is an amazing spirituality and a feeling of hope that there is another place somewhere. There is another world. There is another life that you live when you're done with this life. It was just very reassuring.
Yeah,
and I'm very happy I had that moment, and I do truly believe it. It's not. I think it was real.
Yeah, and that on top of everything else will give you a different outlook on life.
Yeah,
and
thank God, Mike.
So I had a lot of great support. Family, my children were absolutely amazing through this whole ordeal, which was very traumatic for them. They would visit. They would come. They would, constantly just, help organize. People would come see me. My colleagues at work were amazing.
Your sister Jamie, who's amazing, another one, fantastic. Your brother-in-law, Joseph,
my
Jessica.
good friend Mike D helped organize a GoFundMe page.
Oh God!
And
So I got to touch on that, and I don't want to embarrass you or anything like that. But when I don't throw around when you see me post about Miracle Mike or Mike the Legend, this is a guy that the outpouring of love, not just from the GoFundMe, which raised an enormous amount of money, but the comments. I would read these all day, every day on Facebook, on the GoFundMe. These people who haven't had Mike as their teacher in 20 years, speaking with such reverence about this man who had an impact on their lives is I really truly believe that, and the power of Brian and the power of prayer and love for this guy, why he's still with us, because John Ritter lost basically the same way, right, Mike?
That was
the
right? John Ritter thing, right?
The aortic dissection.
Aortic dissection.
Yeah.
And the thing with John Ritter was, the reason why John Ritter died because it happened during his sleep.
Okay.
And that's what happened.
He took it.
And that's the thing about, I just was very fortunate to be where I was.
Yeah.
I was able to get where I was. My colleagues helped me. They called 911. They got me right to the hospital. And I was very, very fortunate that happened, because if I was driving in my car and that happened, who knows what would happen. If I was sleeping, I would never woken up.
It wasn't meant to be like that.
It wasn't meant to be. here's what it is.
Yeah.
And,
Here
the
you are.
support, the prayers, the love, I mean, it was tremendous. It really helped push me through, especially my kids.
Yeah.
I had to get better for my kids.
So I know all of Mike's kids, obviously, since they were born, other than Eleanor and James, and they were tiny when I met them. But I remember when I visited Mike in rehab, certainly weeks later, and one of my job was to bring home some dirty clothing and then swap out some new clothing. And they saw me pull up, and they all came outside, all of them. Like, I was just dropping off a bag of clothing, but Annabelle came in, and the little one, and they were, it was like a rebonding. I haven't seen them in a little bit, but they were happy to see me. I was happy to see them.
We get it, Mark. You're amazing.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm such a piece of shit. Terrible. Yeah. So
by the third week, I was starting to really begin to heal. Towards the end of the third week, going into my fourth week, they took out the trach. I started eating food again.
Yeah.
And it was just, I just started healing really, really quickly. Even to a point when the doctors were like, he's healing this quickly? So something just came over me, and I really began a quick healing. Mm-hmm. Now, I was on dialysis for, 3 to 4 days a week, 3 hours at a time. My kidneys still weren't working. I wasn't urinating. That was strange. That was a very strange thing for me to live almost 5 to 6 weeks without even peeing.
Yeah.
It was just a strange thing. You don't think of it until you don't have to think of it,
Yeah, your recovery was bizarre. Like, you went from not communicating, and then during the whole time I was sending you text messages, and one time you responded back, and I'm like, what? Like, I couldn't believe that you were texting,
right.
and soon you were able to talk. So you had a long time without being able to communicate it, and then you really came to pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty quickly. And I had to also learn how to walk again. Everything was done. I had some issues with the left side of my body. Luckily, nothing that tragic. I was able to work a lot of it in OT and got my strength back. I had to walk again. I was not, I was immobile for 4 weeks. My legs were shot.
Yeah.
So I had to start from the beginning on a walker and taking 2 steps at a time, 4 steps, falling on my ass. I mean, it was. Then after 4 weeks of Mondays, I was released into acute rehab in Glen Cove for 3 weeks. And that's what really turned everything around, because at that point,
yeah,
the T2, the OT, the speech therapist, they were so amazing. They kicked my ass. And it got me to a point when in the third week, I was released. 7 weeks when I was home in 7 weeks. When I was going through all this, Dr. Edelman, the surgeon, said to me, originally he thought I'd be in the hospital for at least 3 months. He said, you'll go back to work, if you're lucky, in September. So 7 weeks I'm home, and in the end of January I started teaching again.
End of January you started
unbelievable.
teaching.
Yeah.
You've
right after the
been
holidays.
out longer for colds.
I know, exactly. Yeah. I've been out longer just because I'm lazy.
Oh, my God.
What was it like going back to work?
That first day.
Physically, it was really draining the first few days. I was very lucky, too, because the first 3 months, a couple of my colleagues of mine that lived nearby drove me in every day and drove me home. So that was really nice not to have to draw that commute during that time. It definitely helped me. But just to be in school again, teaching, learning, laughing, be with my colleagues, it was amazing. I loved it, and it was hard. So I had to definitely do things differently. I had to, just step back a little bit and not do so much and not get so active and so wild. But it's great.
His hair never got bad. Look at how he has beautiful hair.
Exactly.
He's always had.
He's always had
my hair. My hair was a conversation in the especially in rehab when I had all these aides that were, most of them were Haitian, and they loved my hair.
Yeah, you have great hair. Always.
they would come and help me wash my hair for me when I wasn't really walking well, and they would wrap it up in a towel. They'd play with it. They're like, "You're the best."
Mark was telling me he would visit you in the hospital and just run his fingers through your hair.
No, actually, once he was starting to wake up, I'm like, shh. Stay sedated.
This is me time.
Stay sedated. I'm going to run my fingers through your hair.
I remember for a long time I wasn't shaved, so I was growing this really nasty white trash beard. Yeah. I remember at one point I was going through some kind of procedure, and next thing I know, I'm looking up and there's a nurse shaving my face with an electric razor, and some other nurse with a little scissor cutting some dead ends off my hair. What's happening here? Where am I? Well, like I said, when you're in that state, you're vulnerable. You don't care. Just do it. Do what you have to do.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I mean, and then
and look,
about 2 months ago, Mark and I go out to dinner.
Yep.
Supposedly one of Mark's friends.
Yeah.
We go to this beautiful dinner in Belmore. And this son of a bitch doesn't even get us doesn't buy us a
not
fucking
a drink, nothing.
Doesn't even get us a brownie sundae with a spoon.
Nothing.
That is Mark Hirschman for you.
He sat with us the entire time.
2 spoons and a little ice cream, nothing. Nothing. He didn't give a shit. And I was talking this up like crazy.
Yeah, right?
But that's when I knew everything was back to normal.
That's how we knew.
At that point, we knew.
Well, I remember, and not even to sound too grim, but I would always ask Mark for updates and everything. But there were just times where it's just like Mark's like, no, not good at all. And then we were having cigars in your driveway one night. I don't know if it was that day that you had visited him or the day after.
Yep.
But after that, I checked. I'm like, how is he? You're like, he's doing much better. And
Yeah.
it's like over the course of 2 days of me asking how you were doing.
I was so happy to report that good stuff.
Yeah.
It was, and then at the end of December, I got up dialysis, which was an amazing thing. My kidneys, even then, it went from you might be on dialysis for a year, if not more. I was in the dialysis clinic the second day in Belmore, and the nurse practitioner is telling me to get on the transplant list. I'm like, what? What the fuck are you talking about, transplant list? I was like, shut. What this is not supposed to be. It's an injury. It's not kidney failure. What do you tell me this shit for? But within 3 months, a little less than 3 months, my numbers improved. And as of my last appointment, which was 2 weeks ago, my kidneys are healed.
That's our boy right there.
That's it.
We love that.
I mean, it's been that to me. Everything there was, the dialysis was. To me, didn't hurt. It was depressing. You go into the dialysis clinic, you see all these people that are like lifers.
Yeah.
And they're on this machine. You go in there, you're there for 4 hours, 3 days a week.
Yeah.
You look through a machine, and you have your music, and you have a magazine and a book, and you have, and you just sit there and lay there as your blood is getting churned through your body. And it's a depressing atmosphere, and it's fucking freezing as hell in those rooms,
Amazing.
But to me, that was the hardest thing, because you feel like you had no real freedom when you had to give yourself 12 hours a week. But it kept me alive. I had to do it. Yeah. And I understand it. So you did it.
And look at him.
You get through.
Look how handsome he is. His hair.
I think he looks better now.
So speaking of looking better, and we won't belabor this point, but for any I'd say 40s or 50s, young 50s women out there, Mike is a single man these days, and certainly we know we have a large female population.
Not a lot, but large females.
Large females. It's like 3 of them.
It's not a lot
3 or
of
4 of them. They'll be calling in.
Yeah.
No, but if there's certainly anyone who's looking for a very successful, very renowned teacher, former dean of students,
the salt of the earth
guy, you can hit me up and we'll work it out, because this is, listen.
What are you going to test them out first?
Yeah, I'll take them for a ride first. You come over and we'll talk, and then we'll see.
what, Mark, humanitarian, nurse, matchmaker.
Listen, man,
what don't
I'll
you
do anything for this guy. I love this guy. We've been on vacations together. We've been on.
We've been in trouble. We've been in trouble together a lot.
We've been in trouble together. So let's close as we're coming to the end of the show. A story that I have told before, but I told it from my version. So maybe we can touch on the story that we're back 18 years ago, 17 years ago. We're at an outdoor concert, July 4th weekend. We're in Lido Beach. Is that right, Mike?
Point Lookout.
And the musical guest was Gloria Gaynor. I Will Survive. I've talked about this on the show, and that's a pretty big get.
Oh yeah.
She sang it 3 times.
Yeah, she sang the song multiple times.
Really?
It's all she had. Yeah, she sang it, like acoustic version, metal. She did a punk version.
She started the show, ended the show, in the middle of the show.
Yeah. So at what point during the show, and as I told last time, we're on blankets, and it's the Hirschman family, and it's just Samantha and Anna at the time. There's no Max, and it's the Ciampis, and only 3 kids at the time, not 4.
Right.
And we're very close to the other blankets, other people, very tight knit type of thing, and.
Running around stealing people's food.
Samantha's stealing food from other people's things, and I'm sure I had a couple of drinks in me at the time, knowing how I was back then. And at some point, we notice there's a Down syndrome man in his 30s, 40s, whatever, and he is dressed like an American flag, red, white, and blue top, red, white, and blue bottom, and he's there, and he's pumping his fist with every word to Gloria Gaynor.
Oh, they love it. Yeah.
He's a big Gloria Gaynor fan, and he's with a very large group of Irish men and women, and you can tell that.
Are you sure he wasn't just like extra Irish? He definitely had that.
No, he wasn't. He had Down syndrome. And Mike, what exactly happened? What did I say to you? I think it was, or to Adrian?
I said, "Holy shit! I think that's Corky from What Goes On."
Yeah. So
There's no way that's cool. I said, what do you think? Every Down syndrome guy looks like Corky?
I don't think, if I remember correctly, Mike did not reprimand me, but Stacy and Adrian were like,
oh, they were like, shut up.
Yeah, like, you cannot go, because I was going to approach them and say, like, I love the show Life Goes On with Corky, Chris Burke, and they're like, you're not doing that. You're going to mortify us, and if it's not him, you're going to get beaten up, and long story short, next thing you know, they're like ushering me out, and we're cleaning up blankets, and I'm like, no, I want to go back there, and the night ends, and I'm disgruntled, and
there was no closure for you.
There was no closure, and at the time, it was so long ago, if you remember, Mike, there was no cell phones with internet on them.
No cell phones.
So we couldn't look it up. We couldn't do anything like that, and so Mike drives back to his house in East Meadow, and I drive home to Levittown, and of course, the first thing that I do is I go on the computer to look up the actor who played Corky in Life Goes On, and Chris Burke, and I look it up, and it says that he's from Point Lookout, New York. So we knew at that point, we knew it was him,
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, I pick up the phone, and Stacy's like, you better fucking not be calling. Take over, Mike.
It's like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
11:30, the phone rings. Kids are starting to sleep. Adrian answers the phone. What do you want, Mark? I got something like, what the fuck do you want?
What do you want? You're yelling.
I told you. Chris Burke lives in Point Lookout. It was Corky. It was Corky.
I told you it was him. And then I don't know
but
if
he's never forgotten it.
She hung up, or she pulled the phone away, but she was rightful to be annoyed that I was calling the house that late about total nonsense.
After the cutoff.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But I'd already been causing a scene as it was about the Chris Burke. Like, I could have waited to the next day.
But you wouldn't have been able to sleep.
I couldn't sleep.
You wouldn't be able to sleep. You got this Point Lookout connection.
So
now.
she and Stacy were righteous in their acts, and that just.
I'm pretty sure I played softball with him one time at one of my dad's company picnics.
Well,
but when you look back at it, it could have just been any other person.
No, this was Chris. This was definitely him.
Well, back then also they all had the Dorothy Hamill haircuts. and
This was
and he
okay,
did not.
Mike. All right, it's been a great show. Okay, Mike. We're not going to call him
No,
a
I'm saying.
Dorothy Hamill haircut. We're not going to do that. Listen, we can go Herschy and Ciampi stories forever, but we're going to close off on that note. And what can I say, man? I love you very much. This episode
too, bud.
meant a lot to me and to Mikey and to Tony.
God bless you.
And,
I'm already getting text messages
yeah.
from people that have enjoyed. My buddy Frank messaged me.
Oh,
what
cool.
a story. And
Yeah, Frank Licano.
Yeah, oh,
Good.
yeah.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for following us. And that's it, man. I just this episode was going to mean a lot to me, and it definitely has. And we'll be doing some. We said we're going to go for some Chinese food dinner. It's so far so good in Limbrook pretty soon, right?
Good. Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Kidneys are
reach
good.
out to
Let's
you.
go out for drinks.
And you know
soon.
what? We have to go to Ancona for dessert.
You got it, brother. You got it.
I'm in.
All right, Mikey. Thanks. I love you, boy.
All
We'll
right,
talk to you
guys,
soon.
Thanks, man.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Take
having me
Be
on.
good, man.
Bye.
All right.
All right, excellent. What a story.
How great was that?
Yeah,
How
excellent.
great was that?
Excellent.
That's it's sometimes like when you have a story like that. I mean, I told that story a couple of months back, but I'm glad that he remembered it the same way that I did.
Yeah, exactly.
With my stupid antics
Yeah.
of Chris Burke. But Miracle Mike Ciampi, not just a great guy, but a great story, and thank God he's here.
Yeah.
Because believe me, there was plenty of times early on that I didn't think that would ever happen again.
Many conversations we had.
Yeah.
Where,
Yep.
it's not looking great.
No,
so
you
I'm not
would
gonna-
text me all the time, and I would be telling you, and it's just amazing. So thanks, Mike, for joining us, and it's great. That's it.
Yeah.
With no further ado, we're at the end of the show, so we'll close off by doing what we usually do, which is telling you guys what we have coming up. Mikey, you got some really important stuff coming up, right?
I got some stuff going on.
Yeah.
I got this weekend, Saturday I'm going to be at the Old York Winery in Ringo's, New Jersey.
Beautiful.
It's going to be an awesome show.
Was that Helene Angley?
Helene Angley.
Oh, she's
and
terrific.
Our old buddy Chris Roach is going to be headlining.
Oh
so
wow,
that'll be fun.
he's still doing this.
He's still doing the comedy
okay,
thing.
good,
I
good.
hear.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Good.
I haven't heard from him in a
Yeah,
while.
good.
But I think he's still doing it. Friday night I'll be at the Surf Marina. It's a Governor's produced show.
Beautiful.
So that'll be fun.
Good.
And then I will be in July, August. I'll be doing the Asheville Comedy Festival in North Carolina.
That's unbelievable.
So that's going to be fun.
I'm so proud of you about that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So check out the lineup for that and get your tickets for Asheville. But most importantly, coming up June 21st.
So that's
Brokerage
next
in
week.
Belmore.
Brokerage.
Coming
This
up-
is Mike Keegan and friends.
Yeah.
You're gonna have Hugh Van Well.
Hugh Van Well. Carla's going to be on
Yeah.
it. Actually, a friend of mine, Allegra Barnett. She's from L.A. She's coming.
I know
in.
Allegra. She
You know
used to
Allegra?
work on the Kevin James show.
She was on the Kevin
Yeah.
Can Wait show.
Yeah.
So she's coming in. She's going to be doing a
Oh,
guest
get out!
spot
I haven't
on the
seen
show.
her in a long time.
Yeah, so she's gonna
Yeah.
she's stopping in for a guest spot.
Beautiful.
Kevin Downey Jr. might be stopping in for a guest spot. So it's
Oh.
gonna be like a little
Little
whoever wants to come down and
Okay, good.
for all of our friends. You if you're around,
Yeah,
Tony.
absolutely.
But tickets on sale at govs.com, govs.com. It's June 21st at the Brokerage, 8:00 show.
Good.
Mike Keegan and friends, get your tickets now. They're
Boom.
available.
And Tony, Magical Mystery Tour. What do you got coming up?
Thank you, pal. We have a bunch of stuff going on. July 19th, Gov's Comedy Club Podcast is producing a show in the Giggle Room with Mike Bacchetti and Greg and Rob and Tony Landolfi and Irene Bremis.
That's
a
how
killer
many
show.
Yo, how many killers do you want on one show?
I was just
Tony?
with Irene this past
Irene's
weekend.
a killer. Landolfi
killers.
we love, and
Yep.
Mike Bacchetti has been around for forever.
Yep.
It's a phenomenal
Yeah.
show.
So we're looking forward to that. September 27th, we're doing a murder mystery at the Brokerage. September 28th, we're doing that's the graphic you see. We're doing a Triple X Trivia Game Show night.
The Pervert Show.
That's
Yeah.
right, with Ivory Fields.
Oh, jeez, that's
Oh,
good.
is he going to take it out?
Yeah.
When doesn't he?
He's gonna flop it right out.
October 5th, we got a show in the Giggle Room with Claudia Sherman.
Jeez, Tony.
Yeah, we have
Tony.
another
Look at this guy.
November 2nd. We have another date, and December 21st, another murder mystery at McGuire's.
All right. Anything in 2025.
And I would like to point out. Speaking of people that are making comebacks and doing
Yeah.
things,
Sure.
Nick Greystone returned last Thursday.
Yes,
Oh,
our boy
look
Nick
at him.
Greystone, Primal Fear, Primal Scream,
Primal Scream. Yes.
Primal Scream.
Primal Scream.
He's my boy.
Yep.
Nikki's my boy. Good. I love that. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. And awesome. And of course, if you guys haven't bought your tickets yet, Stacy's running the Chicago Marathon in the fall,
Yes,
and we're
go to the
raising
Chicago
money.
Marathon. Oh,
yeah, we're if anyone wants to run the marathon, let us know. No, we're raising money for against epilepsy, and the show is August 8th. There will also be a little birthday celebration for me, which will be on August 10th. If Mikey's available, he's going to be there. Possibly Eric Haft, maybe Tony. So we're going to have a great show that night. Shoot me a text or message me if you need tickets. I still have some left. And with that said, great show. Thank you for listening. Share this with anybody that you think might enjoy